2011年12月尾，英格蘭克萊夫利斯正值冬季，但係呢個海濱小鎮俾大風從海上吹嚟異常嘅泡沫，厚厚一層泡沫湧上街頭，泡沫厚近1米，對駕車人士嘅生命構成巨大威脅。泡沫不僅侵佔咗海濱行人道，仲進入內陸，住宅後邊嘅平房都被泡沫覆蓋住。2012年6月5日開始，澳洲南部維多利亞省海灘突如其來形成咗延綿數里嘅泡沫奇觀，大量泡沫浮喺海面上，隨住潮水同埋海風飄到沙灘上面，彷彿將海水變成一大杯嘅 cappuccino 泡沫咖啡。泡沫景觀寬度達5公里，甚至有衝浪客決定抓住呢次機會喺泡沫海中衝浪。2012年9月14日，新西蘭海利塔尼沿岸嘅海面上湧起大量嘅黃色泡沫，攝影師克里斯加登拍下咗一系列衝浪者勇鬥泡沫巨浪嘅景象。加登表示，佢已經拍咗10年衝浪題材嘅照片，但係從來未見過泡沫海浪。當日佢正係開車沿住海岸尋找海浪，恰巧見到咁嘅景象，就馬上拍落嚟啦。其後2012年9月24日，蘇格蘭西海岸阿伯丁郡附近嘅一個漁村被奇怪嘅白色泡沫所覆蓋，包括道路同埋房屋在內嘅一切嘅東西都好似被大雪包裹一樣。海裏有如 cappuccino 咖啡般嘅泡沫係咩呢？點解呢種極不尋常嘅怪現象年嚟都常常喺全球各地發生呢？早於2009年12月，日華牧師已經預告，當 Planet X 再度接近太陽同埋地球嘅時候，隕石墜落或者係隕石喺空中解體嘅事件將會增加，從而喺隕石裏邊嘅磷同埋鐵就會散落喺水源同埋海洋裏面。呢啲嘅磷同埋鐵粉末除咗融化喺水裏，將水變成驚人嘅血紅色同埋降下血雨之外，並且磷鐵隕石仲會導致大量藍綠藻生長。其中2012年7月，烏克蘭亞速海驚現海水變成血紅色，大量藍綠藻類生長。2012年8月9日，八國湖水全部變成血紅色，同樣大量藍綠水藻生長。若果大家細心留意，則發現湖水面同樣出現有大量泡沫附帶喺植物同埋岸邊。原來全球性異常嘅泡沫事件源自海裏藍綠藻類死亡，大量釋出有機物質。科學家指，海泡由於海中有機物質同埋藻類同因大浪被吸入海水中嘅空氣產生化學作用，造成洗衣機效應，形成大量泡沫。據悉，呢啲泡沫對人類嘅健康無害，需要過一段嘅時間先至會自然消失。
Australia, the epitome of beach culture, sand, sea and surf. But what happens when this turns to this? Overnight, the ocean had been whipped up into something quite extraordinary.
When the waves would push in, it'd push the foam up real high.
When it hit Yamba in New South Wales on the 24th of August 2007, it smothered everything and everyone. Locals flooded to the beach to join in the foam party.
The waves were lifting the foam, but you couldn't actually see breaking waves.
We even had one member of my wife's family disappeared in it, and it took us quite a while to find him.
So spectacular, it didn't take long for images of people coated in foam to flash around the world, and Yamba became known as the Cappuccino Coast. What was going on? Why had the sea whipped up like cream? To find out, we're heading to the National Oceanography Centre in Southampton, where Dr. Simon Boxall is a coastal expert.
Over the last few years, we've seen some fantastic sea foam events. A lot of people assume it's caused by pollution, In actual fact, it's not. It's caused by these things. It's caused by plankton, phytoplankton primarily.
And plankton is the basis of much of the life in the sea, the bottom link in the food chain, feeding everything from tiny fish to the giants of the ocean. And plankton supports us too. Much of the Earth's oxygen is produced by these tiny organisms.
As the phytoplankton die, they release various compounds. When these things are agitated, they create sea foam. They act like surfactants, almost like washing up liquid in some ways. This combination of strong blooms, strong wave activity produces the most spectacular sea foam shows on the planet.
In the case at Yamba, the event happened after inland floods washed nutrients from farmland soil out to sea. These enriched waters are the perfect habitat for a massive bloom of plankton. Now, when the plankton was healthy, nothing happened. But when the blooms started to die, a surfactant was given off, which when whipped up by a storm, produced foam on a gigantic scale. Whilst on one side of the world the Cappuccino Coast is a tourist attraction, we travel next across the Pacific to the Washington coastline, where in November 2009, the foam that whipped up had altogether more serious consequences.
A full-blown wildlife crisis tonight on the northwest coastline. Thousands of seabirds are dying from a slimy foam that stretches from Washington's Olympic coastline all the way to the northern Oregon coastline.
Foam on the beach, that's not unusual at all. But this foam was killer foam.
This was ugly smelling, ugly looking, and incredibly tall.
Thousands of seabirds dead and dying along 300 miles of the American west coast. Offshore species showing up on land in scenes reminiscent of a man-made disaster. So what was causing such an enormous and devastating event? Well, as the scientists looked to figure it out, they came across something in the archives that might help them. 2 years earlier, 800 miles down the coast at Monterey Bay in California, seabirds had died in their thousands. Rafe Cadella at the University of Santa Cruz is an ocean ecologist, and he was involved in unraveling the mystery.
And initially, when the birds started coming in, it was assumed that it was from an oil spill. But as soon as they tested them, they realized that there was no petroleum products on the birds. And so at that point, it gets classified as something called a mystery spill.
At the time, there was a natural event happening out at sea that's known as a red tide, a mass of algae that group together in huge numbers. Some of these can be very toxic, but this particular dinoflagellate algae had never been recorded causing any harm before.
We're trying to figure out, well, what's the connection between this dinoflagellate that's supposed to be harmless and what's going on with these birds. We had this red tide offshore, but on the beach there was this foam piling up. We assumed the foam had something to do with the algae, but we didn't know exactly what was going on.
The birds in the foam looked bedraggled. And these are species that spend much of their time diving underwater, almost swimming to catch their prey. To stay warm, they rely on their terribly efficient down layer, which is not only insulating, but vitally waterproof, keeping the cold water away from their skin. Yet the birds on the beach were freezing. So Rafe and his colleagues began experimenting to see what was happening to their feathers.
If you dip feathers into normal water, I just dipped that in and nothing happened. The feather is still nice and fluffy. The problem is that when we dip it into the foam, instead of popping back out, it's just all clotted down. And so the top of the feather is completely covered in this sort of nasty goo. Eventually all that down is going to be collapsed all the way against the quill of the feather, and it's no longer waterproof at all.
It's as if you went swimming in the cold ocean in a wetsuit, and all of a sudden your wetsuit dissolved. You wouldn't last very long. And that's exactly what happened to the birds. The result was the largest known mortality of marine birds anywhere in the world ever due to an algal bloom.
8,000 bodies washed up in this event, and it's thought that many thousands more died out at sea.
原來近年頻密出現嘅罕見海泡事件，其根源已經早喺2009年12月被日華牧師所預告，就係當 Planet X 再度接近太陽同埋地球嘅時候，磷鐵隕石墜落，導致海裏藍綠藻類大量繁殖同埋死亡所引致。